Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the European Multinational Security Protocol. I didn't want to make this video, I didn't want to make this broadcast, but I received a signal from above to make it anyway. I have information about the fall of the Pope of Rome. Now, in the last video, I showed the vulnerabilities of the White House, while the Vatican has vulnerabilities as well. And I think it's most profitable when everyone understands its vulnerabilities. If you can see your own vulnerabilities, your delusion will go away. And that's the first step to healing. This is about healing. This is not about mocking or scoffing, or perhaps when the American president would come to see the prophecy of the fall of the Pope, he will enjoy the fall of the Pope. That's just the type of man he is. This video is not designed to make people enjoy the fall of the Pope. This video is designed to give everyone a real hard reality check. I'm telling you the truth. This is the reality check, ladies and gentlemen. I introduced it. You know, I am a sage, and I want to become a mage. And this European Union Multinational Security Protocol is helping me achieve my ambition. I can summon what is known as Christ's chaos. You know, that's the key of Peter. That's a weapon of the Pope. So Christ's chaos just means sovereign excommunication from the glory and grace of God, from the mercy of God. It's like I'm isolating you in the darkest part of the universe. If I release Christ's chaos upon you, you are finished beyond finished. I'm telling you the truth. It's not threatening. I'm just saying. It's like one of those films you see some individual doing some magic trick, some energy type, and if that person releases this energy type, it just destroys everything. Yeah, I'm telling you, the weapon of the Pope, the key of Peter, is that type of power. So when I'm walking around and some local villager or some police or some magistrate or whatever, some form of lower authority starts coming to me and starts doing this, God is not real bullshit, I will open the gates of destruction above your soul and you will meet God. That's a little bit the first level. If you want to become a mage, this is level 1 mage. A level 1 mage can step up to a king and say, you will bow or I will destroy your land. That's level 1. Okay? Hear me out, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to show you some real secrets. Some stuff that nobody can show you, because this type of intelligence is not accessible to humanity. Let's talk about Medusa. Medusa went around, and what did she do? She slept with the priests. And why did she sleep with the priests? Because Medusa understood what is known as soul tie. If you are a woman and you connect to a man, you own half his assets. You own half his destiny. So if you're a woman and you go and have sex with all the priests, damn, half the church, the power of the church on earth is yours. And that's how Medusa used the sexual soul tie to gather all the energy from all the elite priests and started to rule. I'm telling you, look at modern femininity. What they do, they elect men, they have sex with men, and then they crush them with the power they extracted out of them. It's business. It's a Medusa type of business. There's so many levels of spiritual intelligence that you all have no access to for good reasons. I don't want to give anyone, ideas. I don't want to give anyone the wrong type of inspiration. But the closer we come to what is known as the Antichrist, there's a prophecy that goes that there's one man, and this man is going to rule the world. He's going to rule everyone. This is called prophecy. And the closer we go to this prophecy, the more the supernatural becomes natural. Right? This is so complex, but I'm going to try whatever I can to help you see it. According to prophecy, the Antichrist is going to be shot in his head and he's going to get up and walk. According to the prophecies, the Antichrist is going to make fire come down from heaven. Just imagine, imagine a man walking around bringing fire upon the earth at mere will, getting shot. So humanity is going to go start a war against the Antichrist, and one of these humans is going to shoot him in the head. And this man is going to get up, and then he's going to summon fire from heaven down. Hey, what you all going to do? So now everyone is locked up in this low-level humanity, spiritual, low-level nonsense. But the closer we come to the point of the Antichrist is the more the supernatural is going to show up for humanity. And I'm going to show you the law. How is this possible? We're living in a democracy. We are living in a democracy. You have rights. So you commit your sins and you offend heaven and your soul get cursed. Hey, goodbye, we don't know you anymore. Your soul disconnects from the system. One soul after the other soul disconnect from the system. At the end of the game, this becomes a game of a handful of people who have not just lost their destiny, and these people can claim the earth. Right? So because we have 7 billion people on the earth with a destiny, nobody's developing magic tricks because that would mess up the balance of power too severely. So imagine that the God's cursing comes over half of humanity. Nothing big will change. You'll just see wars and people dying. There's not one party will have some supernatural power over another party. I'm talking about when we're reaching the point where humanity became so rebellious and so dysfunctional and so depleted of morality that literally we're talking about 99% of humanity no longer in the game. And then the power of earth is divided between the 1%. These guys all of a sudden are no longer limited by iron swords, little guns, these limitations. So the prophecy says that in the end, excuse me, this is live, give me a second. In the end, like at this point, the closer we go to the supernatural becoming natural, there are going to be in Israel 2 individuals that are going to do some preaching, and they're going to get assassinated, and these people are also going to raise from the dead. Literally, you're going to see this. This is going to become the new normal. The old normal is going to go away, and you're going to see the new normal. You're going to wake up in a world where you're going to see these Christian prophets in Israel, and they're going to speak all these words, and everyone is going to reject them, and they're going to kill them, and they're going to rise from the dead. And then everyone is going to try to kill the Antichrist. He's going to rise from the dead, and then people are going to summon fire down from heaven and stuff. This is the future. The closer we come to the point where humanity rebels against heaven and loses the right to our own destiny, the more the powers are divided among the very elected few, and that unlocks. It unlocks. Yeah, it unlocks. No longer fighting with swords and sticks. Yes, it's time to become a mage. I smell it, I know it, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I know what the qualifications are to receive that type of power. I don't want to become the Antichrist, don't get me wrong, summoning fire down from heaven. But if that becomes the new normal, I better adapt to that stuff. So while you are running behind your little money, and while you are being enslaved by your little woman, and while you are just playing the game as how you ought to play the game, I'm playing a different game. And I am at this point of time so exponentially more advanced than everyone else, is that I can see the fall of the Pope of Rome, and I'm not glorying, and I'm not, trying to, show, some kind of, I'm trying to stay in the humility. I'm just trying to convince you this ain't no confusion. This ain't no confusion. This man is going to fall. I'm going to show you how he's going to fall. Yes. So, if you're so kind, if you see this video and you see this material and it helps you in your destiny, make sure you pray for me, because the enemies that I'm going to face are going to be legendary. If you're a Christian, your enemies you're going to face are going to become legendary. Scripture says, the closer you come to the end of days, the greater the power of the Antichrist becomes, the greater the persecution, and we're no longer in a world of sword and sticks. We're in a world of artificial intelligence. That's level 1. What's the next level? You see these guys talking about, super artificial intelligence. What's the next level? We're going to the next level. And if you want to stay behind in this stick and stone mentality, go ahead, man. Less competition for me. I am that type of brutal person. It is the way it is. And if anyone want a taste of it, I'll show you what the key of Peter is. Hallelujah. So let's continue the European multinational security protocol. I'm trying to stay serious. You know, the Pope of Rome has 33% of my divine right to rule the world that I extracted from Donald Trump. So I went double team with the Pope of Rome, and then I took his power, and then I aimed my power and his power against Donald Trump and said, I'll stop. Just give me 66% of your divine right to rule the earth, and I'll go and divide that with the Pope, and then you can continue your battles. Resetting the battlefield, and I am interfering again in the Catholic destiny, whereby there's something that I'm going to teach you, a secret. It's called law of surprise. It's very important that you understand it. Every time I keep interfering, I'm not allowed to double team with the Pope, but I am allowed to interfere. Every time I correct the timeline of the Pope of Rome, his soul, like Medusa, become in debt to me. He needs to pay with his destiny. So every time I correct the timeline of the Pope with my intelligence, a little particle of that divine right to rule the earth that I got him through the strategy flows back to me. A little part, it's not huge, but I'm noticing that. I'm noticing how my mind is getting more protection and more protection and more protection from heaven. I know what the divine right to rule the world is. I know what it does to a human being. It increases the strategic intelligence over all the other ones. Okay, enough on that. If you have something, I'm teaching you mage level spiritual excellence in a Christian tradition. If you have something, if you're smart, if you're fast, if you're strong, whatever it might be that you have, and you see someone out there that is destroying himself or destroying herself, somebody who's having a downfall, and you have the power to stop that person's soul splits in I don't know in what type of part, and a part of that becomes yours. This is a multinational, a multi-generational Vatican intelligence. Look what the Vatican is doing. Look what the Vatican is doing. They're going to what? Nations to broker peace. While the nations are spiraling in a doom loop, the Pope goes there and breaks the doom loop. And so the rights of those presidents who make these war acts, part of it flows into the soul of the Pope, and that's how the Pope stays on top of the game. It's an ancient law called law of surprise. Make people and you will be made. Okay? Break people and you will be broken. Okay? Now people are going to say, but why do bad people rule the world? Let me tell you why bad people rule the world. It's so simple. This is level 1 mage, it's not even some out of the world stuff. If I look at me, if I continue doing what I'm doing, and I'm extracting through law of surprise all these superpowers, and I get children, and those children get children, and those children get children, they're going to run around on this earth with these rights that I have, descendancy rights, and they're going to be like, oh, that's great. They have no idea where it came from. They're going to think it's themselves. They are great, not what the ancestors has done. They don't see that part of the story. The Americans don't see the divine rights they have because of their ancestors. They just see we are super powerful, who's going to stop us? They don't understand where the power comes from. My grandchildren will not understand where the power comes from. So what are they going to do? They're going to waste it in vanity. And then those people are going to say, why do evil people rule the world? Everything is understandable if you're intelligent. God designed intelligence. So if you get the keys from God to have intelligence, you can see and understand it. It's a divine right. And if you are cursed over the bones, God will not grant you the intelligence to fix yourself, because God is allowing you to destroy yourself. If your mind will lead you into your own destruction. All right? No hate speech. I'm not trying to harm you or ego or your feelings. I'm just trying to show you a level of power whereby you understand the gravity of what I want to talk about with this Pope of Rome. Okay? So I show you the secret of how I get my power. Make and be made, break or be broken. It's really that simple. You don't have to listen to me. This is not about you listening to me. This is about seeing what's going to happen to the Pope. So let's begin. The Pope of Rome is going to China, ladies and gentlemen, and he is complying to the Communist Chinese Party. Yeah, this feud between Donald Trump and the Pope of Rome has caused European Union to decouple. So the Vatican Eagle Throne decoupled from the United States and is now going to the global south to make these trade contracts. So you see the German Chancellor going to Brazil, trying to make new trade contracts. So the Pope of Rome in the houses in Europe are decoupling and trying to find new ways of justifying their existence. And they're just starting to do business with the global south. And even the Catholic Church is opening a mission in China, and they're allowing the CCP to regulate them. You know what I'm saying? They're allowing Chinese rule in the church. They're saying, if I am in China and I'm sitting in front of the church and I'm preaching something that is not acceptable in the eyes of the Communist Party of China, the Pope of Rome will come for me and shut me up, even when it's the truth, because the Pope gave up his rights in China to enter China. That's called being subjected to China. China dictates the Chinese mission, not the Pope. Allow me to allow me to enlighten you why this is happening. Okay? If you have the glory of God, if you have the legacy of God, as I explained, your ancestors built an empire, and in your deeds you are destroying your legacy. At one point, God is no longer cooperating. He's no longer giving you blessings. So if you are a priest, you need a man who has blessings. The priest is a servant. So the king has an elite priest, and the two of them go do whatever they do. The priest takes the blessing of the king, right? That the king gets access to the elite priest, and the king becomes stronger, and the priest get a legacy. So the Vatican is like a legacy extraction machine. If you are a king, you can get the secrets out of the Vatican, and so the Vatican gets the legitimacy. But lately, these Western rulers haven't been interested in Christian enlightenment. They haven't been interested in that. So there is no more job in the Vatican. The Vatican is out of job. There are no more jobs. There are no more blessings. The United States of America cannot afford the Vatican. The priests of the Vatican, if they go to America, there's nothing to get there. The blessing of God is not there. There is no legacy to be extracted. There is no reason to service the United States of America as priest. There's no reason to service Europe as priest. It's dead. So what are you going to do? You're running out of blessings, and there is nobody to interfere in the destiny to generate some legacy. So shit, we're game over. Let's go to China. Because what China, right? China has been, year in, year out, decade in, decade out, trading with the West. Slave labor. China has been taking little money. Not much. China is the humble China. Yeah, we just want to sell stuff. We'll provide it cheap. So all the slave labor of the Chinese enters our glory of God under Christ generational legacy. So Christ blesses the West, and then China is like, okay, that's great. Here are some cheap goods, and the West is leaking this energy, this grace of God generational legacy. Not much. It's not that God is giving China great amounts of Christian legacy. It's just a little. But we're talking about year in, year out, decade in, decade out. Yeah, those little bits of glory of God through Christ's blessing, serving the Westerners. Yeah, after a couple of centuries, the Bank of China, has a lot of glory of God from Christ, from the destiny of the West. It's in their account. So the systemic mind sees the bankruptcy of the morality of the West, sees that there's no more job, and then sends the Vatican into China, into the global south, because the global south has extracted out of the West little particles of the Christian legacy. The West does not have this Christian legacy anymore, but China still has it. So the Pope of Rome is confronted with the end, and the life of the Pope of Rome is being extended by the mission in the global south. So now the Pope of Rome is going to open the doors, subject to the ways of the global south, because he got no other choice. If they don't want to work with him, then it's game over. So he's just going to let them do what they want to do, and he's going to have a serviceful attitude. And that's how the Catholic Church is going to extract the last bit of glory of God, Jesus Christ's grace, legacy from the West, the last bank account of spiritual blessings. He's going to mine that in the global south by servicing their customs and their ways. And the common point that also they are out of God's blessings, out of God's generational blessings. And that's when it will come. Then you will see that the Vatican will lose its purpose. The Pope will lose his purpose. There is no more job. The Vatican is busy with its final job. There is no more grace of God. There is no more legacy. There is nothing anymore. So now you see the Pope of Rome condemning homosexuality. No, it is condemning homosexuality. He's not like, I condemn homosexuality. No, it's like, we don't bless this anymore. It's the same thing. It's just a politically correct way of saying we don't want this. And look at what's happening. Look what's happening. The people are saying, oh, no, what a hate preacher. We ain't going to church no more. I don't want to have it. I already wanted to leave, but now I'm surely leaving. Yeah, listen to me. Shall I do this level 1 mage thing again just to show you? These are Satan's people, man. If God leaves you, he hands you over to the devil, and when you are an instrument of the devil, yeah, you don't want to go to a church where they preach against sin. You ain't going there. Satan won't allow you to enter that building. It's game over. The moment the Pope of Rome summons the power of God in the Vatican, and it become a church again, right? Because what happened is that the Vatican just said nobody's going to hell, homosexuality is not a sin, don't worry about it, and the Vatican sold its soul that way, and all the Westerners were like, oh, we're not going to hell anymore? Oh, that's great. Homosexuality, no more sin. Oh, that's fantastic. So why do we need the church? And everyone was like, why do we need this? And everyone walked away. Everyone walked away. So when the church go back and reinstitute the laws, yeah, God will come back, but everyone else will go because these are not God's people anymore. God abandoned them. Go away. Go to Satan. Have fun. Destroy yourself. Now we have men, oh, loneliness. And now we have women, oh my God, abuse. Women choosing devils, going like, oh my God, why are these devils destroying us? Why are these men not doing their duties? Why are these men not entering into marriage? Devils, devil men, uncivilized devil men. Yeah, sure, you pick devil men, you're going to get a devil party. Yeah, it's just the way it is. Satan doesn't love you. Satan gives you the power whereby you can live a life outside of the will of God, but it ain't going to be a functional life. It's not going to be a functional life. This is level 1 mage. Level 1. This is nothing. This is nothing. This level of spiritual intelligence is nothing. If I would be transported 1,500 years back in time, I would be an average priest. Nothing special. But because we're living in a world that is so God-forsaken and so God-abandoned and so accursed, this looks like some real heavy stuff, but it isn't. This is level 1 mage. Nothing special. The lowest level of magehood. Okay? So let me show you the secrets of Satan. Ooh, the secrets of Lucifer Morningstar. I'll show you. Satan does not talk to people. The Bible says that Satan is going to elect an antichrist, and he's going to talk with antichrist. Satan doesn't talk with you people. He doesn't give a fuck about you people. Satan doesn't love humanity. Satan is just trying to mess with God. So Satan is just showing you how to get rid of God and how to survive while getting rid of God so you can rebel against God. So he is like the inspirator of every wrong choice. He doesn't want to teach you. Satan doesn't want to be your teacher. Satan doesn't want to help you, but he wants to move you away from the will of God. He will do that. Anytime, any fucking time, he will do that. No matter who you are, low or high, doesn't matter. Just move away from God and Satan is happy. That's how this game works. It is nothing personal. There's no way you as human can connect with Satan. Impossible. Level 1 mage, okay? I'm not even doing anything special. So this is how Satan then works. If you want to see Satan, this is how you see him. In the Bible is a story about Joseph and Potiphar. Easy to understand. There's a story where Potiphar has a wife, and Joseph, Potiphar's wife wanted some intimacy with Joseph, and Joseph rejected the wife of Potiphar. And because Joseph rejected the wife of Potiphar, his ego got offended, so the woman attacked. How dare you refuse me? I'm the queen, blah, 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 right? And then Potiphar, full of shame, put Joseph in prison to protect his honor and to protect the honor of his woman. He had the power of magistrate of Egypt. And back in those days, that was the most powerful country. Imagine an American judge putting someone in prison for 12 fucking years. Because, his wife is doing some fucking bullshit and he's trying to cover that up. The hammer that court uses to destroy that man will go with that man in that prison. The birthright will transfer. So that hammer of Egypt went into Joseph. The hammer of Egypt went into Joseph, and Joseph hammered next to the Pharaoh. How to save Egypt. The power that was used against him entered him, and he got more glory in the destiny of Egypt back then. That's how Satan works. Satan go in Potiphar and convinces Potiphar, oh my God, you have to put him in prison because your whole reputation will go to shit. Right? And Potiphar go like, oh my God, my whole reputation is going to shit. I have to cover this up now. Is Satan talking to Potiphar? Of course not. It's not that Satan is going to manifest in the spirit, going to introduce himself to Potiphar. Hello, Potiphar, I am Satan. You should put Joseph in prison. That's not how this stuff works. That's not how this stuff works. Level 1 mage, nothing special. When God gives you over to Satan, just like how America is given over to Satan, just like how all these people are given over to Satan, no, you're not talking with Satan. Satan is just deceiving you. So you do the shit whereby your hammer and your sword and your fucking throne is given to your enemies that you are destroying. Level 1 mage, nothing special. No, Satan ain't talking with these people. They're given over to be lied to by Satan so that they can violate people, and these people that they're violating are going to inherit their birthright, their legacies. Yeah, that's how that works. Donald Trump sitting in that White House, and every single thing. He cannot do nothing. Donald Trump has no power. He has no power. I saw it myself. Let me expose to you. So I went to the White House, and I was like, I want 50% of the rights of artificial intelligence. This Sam Altman. I was like, give me half of his destiny. Because I realized Donald Trump has 3 suitcases. He got 3 suitcases. I'm showing you. Donald Trump got 3 suitcases. A military-industrial complex, pharmaceutical industry, and technological giants. So in these suitcases are satanic suitcases. So I'm not saying satanic rituals. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Potiphar. The Potipharian elite in the White House. They got 3 suitcases, and Satan authorizes stuff for them. So Satan make a little hierarchy in the White House. So imagine that's the Pharaoh of Egypt with Potiphar and that Egyptian type of stuff happening over there. And the Pharaoh got three suitcases, and I was like, hey, I know what's in the suitcase. Give me 50% of the artificial intelligence, divine rights of the destiny of artificial intelligence, so I can interfere in that destiny of artificial intelligence. And in exchange, I'm not going to jump after the Pope into China, because I don't need China. I don't need people. I don't need the world. I have God Almighty. Yes. If you are with God, humanity will hate you because humanity is under control of something. They will put you in the jails just like what they did to Joseph, and they will lose all their powers to you. It is ancient law, and I'm just showing it to you. the way it is. So I got half of the suitcase. Donald Trump doesn't control the suitcase. These Americans have just walked away from God. They have mocked God, mocked Christianity. So Christianity became something in the United States for the lower class. The upper class was like, we don't want Christianity. And so God gave them over to the devil. And now the devil in the White House is authorizing everything. So when I show up for the White House and say, give me half the artificial intelligence destiny, and the devil says yes, the fuck is Donald Trump going to do about it? He is just a slave of the system. It's just a fucking slave of the system. You as human have a choice. You can give your soul to God, you can give your soul to the devil. If you pull your soul away from God, automatically you're giving it to the devil. The moment the devil manages your soul, you will be brought to positions like Potiphar. Something will happen in your family, and you will start covering up, and so your legacy of your family will decline. It's the first step of your downfall. Walk away from God, a cycle will be set in motion, and your downfall will start. It'll be like the story of Potiphar. Right? So the moment the Pope of Rome has performed his final duties in China and the global south, and the energy of the global south runs out, it's game over. How are you going to fight the White House? How are you going to fight the enemies of Europe without energy, without legacy, without trade partners, without opportunities, without a destiny? The destiny of the Pope of Rome, I'm showing you, end game. This is how it's going to end. The destiny of the Pope is going to end the moment the legacy of China runs out. They have Christian legacy through generational line, trading for centuries. They're going to a point that this don't work no more. I don't know how long they can manage this, or how much of it they have, but they're going to a point they're going to run out, and the Pope of Rome is taking the iron fist of China. The Pope of Rome is doing business with Xi Jinping, taking his iron fist, standing there in the Catholic Church, saying homosexuality is a sin. Yeah, he's using the fist of China to subject the barbarians. Oh, people, this Pope of Rome is pulling the sword of China to subject the sinners in the Church of the West. Yeah, I don't know how strong the sword of China is, how long he can keep doing that. Well, will come a point that even there are limitations to this game. There come a point that the Pope of Rome can no longer pull the sword of China. And then he's going to stand there without weapons, without blessings, without anything. And then the gates open. The Vatican Eagle Throne, the gates will open, and karma will come for you. All that mass murder karma, all that abuse of authority karma will enter the gates of the Vatican, and it will flush it. And that's how Donald Trump is going to walk in there. Satan is just sitting over there in the White House. If I can make it up, I promise you, Satan can make it up 6 times as good, 25,000 times as good. I'm just a human being. I'm limited by my human beingness. Satan doesn't have any of those limitations. He can dream this stuff probably. He can predict by the fucking perfection when this Pope of Rome is out of legacy, when he can be attacked. And he is just going to inform the Americans. The Pope must understand that Satan in the White House is just I don't know how he's going to communicate it. But he will communicate it with the White House officials to adapt their strategy, just to wait until this stuff is over and then strike. It's a serious situation, ladies and gentlemen. The fall of the Pope of Rome, I have prophesied it.